Hello everyone, hope you are doing well. Now let's start.
Hi. Hello.
Today I am going to present
Okay.
some basic fundamentals of our computer. Means some basic parts of our computer. What is computer? What are the features of a computer? How it works? Just gives a basic overview of the computer, right? And if you have any doubts, any queries, then feel free to ask from me. Is that clear to everyone?
Okay. Is there something? Is there something like a video we can be seeing what you're doing?
Yeah, just basic overview of a computer. I'm going to present on some PPTs.
Okay.
Now let's see one by one. Right. First of all, let's see what is a computer. Basically, can you show on the screen what is computer?
Can you come again?
Have you seen on the screen what is computer? There is some notepad.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
We can see.
Okay. There is a notepad.
I can see now too.
Yes, yes. And what is computer, right? A computer is basically an electronic device that takes input from the user as an input, process it, and then displays the output. So this is a basic definition of a computer. Means what is the meaning of a computer? It's an electronic device. Means which runs through the electricity. So this is basic definition of a computer. And then let's see what are the features of a computer. First point is speed. Means computer can do millions of calculations at a very fast speed. As a human being, we can do the calculation in a limited period, in a limited time, but computer can do with a high speed. So this is the main feature of a computer, main quality of a computer, right? And then another one is accuracy. Computer can give accurate results as compared to the human being. As human beings can do the transactions, do the calculations, but there are some common mistakes, some calculations error. But computer can give accurate results. So this is also the main feature of a computer. Another one is handle variety of instructions at the same time. Means if I'm the human being, I cannot handle more than one transaction instructions at the same time. But computer can handle variety instructions at the same time. In simple terms, the best example is we can access the internet, we can access the MS Word, we can access the notepad at the same time. So it can handle variety of applications, instructions at the same time. Yes. Then another one is time saving. With the help of a computer, we can save our time in doing the calculations, in doing the operations, anything. Means time saving is the main feature of a computer. Then last one is performs complex calculations. There are some scientific calculations, there are some mathematical calculations, which if is not possible is done by the human beings. So that is performed by the computer. Is it clear to everyone? Richard, Nelda and John?
Yes, you can say there is some noise. Some noise there is the
Okay.
but I heard you clearly. I heard you clearly.
पूरा डिस्टर्ब हो जाएगा बैकग्राउंड नॉइज बहुत आ रही है उनको आप बता दो क्या है लिटरली यू फॉर द क्लैरिटी ऑफ द वॉइस एंड आल्सो इसको लिखना तू इसको लिख देता हूं बेटा उनको समझ आए ना ये आप जब अपने आप को म्यूट अनम्यूट करके बोलोगे आप बोलोगे उनको आवाज आपकी जा रही है उनकी आवाज उनके एंड से जो डिस्टर्बेंस है वो नहीं आएगी ये सभी को म्यूट रखना है लेकिन इसको अनम्यूट करके जब आप अपने आप को अनम्यूट करके बोलना शुरू करोगे तो उनकी बात आपकी आवाज जाएगी तो अब नहीं जा रही क्या अभी तक आवाज नहीं जा रही है मतलब?
आपने म्यूट क्यों
नहीं, अभी जो मैंने वॉइस नहीं दे रहा अभी
आवाज गई है बट क्लैरिटी नहीं है, डिस्टर्बेंसेस हो जा रहा है। तो आप इस चीज से स्टार्ट कर सकते हो कि फाइन नाउ आपने स्टार्ट कर दिया है क्या ट्रेडिंग का पार्ट? आप ऐसा दिखा सकते हो कि आई कुड सेंस सम डिस्टर्बेंसेस, नॉइज डिस्टर्बेंसेस, सो
लेट्स स्टार्ट अगेन।
आई विल म्यूट इट, लेट्स स्टार्ट अगेन। नहीं, उसमें दिखा दो आपकी आई एम म्यूटिंग यू ऑल एंड विल स्टार्ट द सेशन नाउ।
ओके,
ऐसे करके शुरू।
तो यहाँ पे एक बार लिख भी दूंगा कुछ।
हाँ, जैसा भी कंफर्टेबल लगता है आप लिख के बता का बता दो। ठीक है, बस ये ध्यान देना कि इनको परमिशन दो भी आने के लिए। खुल गए यूज ऑफ ऑप्शन, इनको भी परमिशन बोल देना ज़्यादा मतलब।
ठीक है,
चैट को कुछ पूछना है पूछना है, आप बोलोगे तो सभी सुनाई देगा।
ठीक है। अभी कर रहा हूँ, मैंने पहले लिख दिया ना। नहीं नहीं, hello everyone. I muted you all. Yeah, I muted you all as there is some disturbance in the voice. So take all your queries at the later half or end of the session, basically in 10 to 15 minutes, right? Now let's see again what are the fundamentals of a computer, what are the features of a computer, what are the applications of a computer. Let's see one by one. What is computer? Computer is basically an electronic device, means that runs through the electricity, that takes input from the user as an input and then process it with the help of a CPU and then displays the output. Means with the help of the output screen, with the help of a monitor, we can display our output. That is done by the computer. So this is just basically introduction of a computer, just one line definition of a computer. Then let's see what are the features of a computer. Features means what are the qualities of a computer. First one is speed. With the help of a computer, we can perform our task in a very speedy way, in a very time-saving way. Means we can do multiple calculations at a very fast speed with the help of a computer. Next, accuracy. With the help of a computer, we can give accurate results, means without any errors. As human beings will perform calculation, there is some plus minus mistakes, but with the help of a computer, there is some accurate results, means computer can give always accurate results. Then third one is computer handles variety of instructions at the same time. Means more than one application or more than one instructions is handled by the computer at the same time. For example, we can use the internet, we can use the notepad, we can use the MS Word at the same time with the help of the computer. And then there is a time saving. Time saving means we can save our time with the help of a computer because computer performs calculations at a very fast speed. So it saves our time, right? Then last one is computer performs complex calculations. There are some complex calculations like mathematical calculations, scientific calculations, and so computer can perform these calculations in a very speedy way, in a very fast way. So these are basically 5 main features of a computer. This is the main reason why we use computer, because computer is nowadays a very basic necessity of our life. Without computer, we cannot survive basically, because there are so many work which human being cannot handle. So with the help of a computer, we can use some basic things. Then let's see what are the applications of a computer. Applications basically include web designing, means computer is basically used in the web designing purpose. There is a term website like Google. Google is a website. With the help of a computer, we can design our websites. Right. And next one is airlines reservations. With the help of a computer, we can reserve our online tickets with the use of online ticketing. There is some site, IRCTC site. And then last one is educational institute. Computer is basically used for teaching purpose also. Like I'm giving you a teaching, that is the online teaching, that is done by the computers only. So these are the basic applications of a computer, means where we can use the computer. In simple terms, applications means uses of a computer, and features means qualities of a computer. So in this notepad, we will see what is computer, what are the features of a computer, qualities, and then application, that is the uses of a computer. Right. Now let's see some basic concept of a computer. The main topic is computer organization. The main topic is computer organization. As you know, computer is basically a thing, a machinery that is used for calculation purpose. And organization means what is the organized manner, means how we can organize our things. So computer organization means how we can organize the computer parts in a systematic manner. Organization means a systematic manner or arrangement. So computer organization means how we arrange the computer components in an efficient manner and systematic manner. Then there is an introduction 2.1 topic. In this chapter, we will provide you with an overview of the basic designing of a computer. Means what are the basic things that makes a computer, that is the basic designing of a computer. You will know how different parts of a computer are organized and how various operations are performed between different parts to do a specific task. Means how computer components are organized and how various operations are performed by the CPU. These all things we will see one by one in this chapter. Then there is the objective, means at the end of the period you will be able to understand basic organization of a computer, means basic parts of a computer, understand the meaning of the ALU, that is arithmetic and logical unit, control unit, and central processing unit. Then define computer memory, means where the data is stored in the computer. Then there is a differentiate between primary memory and secondary memory. Basically there are two parts of memory, primary, secondary, and then see what are the main differences between these two memories. And then last topic is differentiate between input devices and output devices. Means what are the basic input devices and what is the difference between input device and output device. So at the end of the session, we will discuss all these basic concepts, all the queries of these basic concepts. Now let's see one by one in detail. First, basic computer operations. A computer performs basically 5 major operations or functions irrespective of their size and make. Means if it is a microcomputer, it is a mini computer, all the computer performs all these basic operations. Now let's see one by one. First of all, it accepts the data or instruction by way of input. Means computer can store the data by way of input by using the keyboard, mouse, etc. Then it stores data. Second point is it stores data, means computer can store the data in the memory. Then it can process data as required by the user. After inputting, that is the first point, and then storing. Then third point is process the data, means that is the processing part. This is done by the CPU only. Then fourth point is it gives results in the form of a output. That is done by the output unit. As computer feeds the input, doing the processing, takes the input, then it's a time to give the result in the form of the output. That is done by the output devices like monitor screen. Last point is it controls all the operations inside the computer. Means all the controlling is also done by the computer. And this includes all these basic concepts, all these 5 points of the computer. Means these 5 points are the basic operations of a computer. Now let's see these basic operations with the help of a diagram. This is the diagram. First of all, there is the input unit. Input unit means that is the first point that takes data on instructions by way of the input. Then memory unit, that is the second point. It stores data, means storing data is done by the memory itself. There are different types of memory that I discussed within 10 or 15 minutes in the later slides. Then it can process data as required by the user. Processing is basically done by the CPU, this part of the diagram. CPU stands for Central Processing Unit. Like in human body, there is a brain which can perform all the major calculations. In the same way in computer, there is a CPU. That's why CPU is known as the brain of the computer system. That is used for basic operations. Means all the processing is done by the CPU in the computer system. Then there is a ALU. That stands for Arithmetic and Logical Unit. Means all the calculations is done by the ALU itself. All the arithmetic calculations like plus, minus, divide, multiply. Logical calculations includes less than, greater than, less than equals to, greater than equals to. This is done by the ALU itself. And then there is a term CU, that stands for Control Unit. This includes fifth point. It controls all the operations inside the computer. Like in human body, there is a nervous system which controls all the operations. In the same way in computer, there is a term CU, that is a Control Unit that controls overall operations of a computer. And CPU is the main part. CPU includes all these basic concepts like memory unit, ALU and CPU. So there is a term input unit, there is a term CPU, and CPU includes CU, ALU, memory unit. Then at last there is the output unit. Output unit is basically used for giving the output. That is your fourth point. It gives results in the form of output, that is monitor, printer, projector. All these are the basic output devices. So this diagram shows the basic computer operation. First of all, input is given, means data is given. Then processing takes place by the CPU, and then at last output is given by the output unit. So data comes here, here processing, here information. Means data is converted into output, that is the information with the help of a processing. Means first of all data is given, processing, and then output. Now let's see next slide. Now let's see in detail. First of all, input. This is the process of entering data and programs into the computer system. Means how we can enter the data or program into the computer, that is done by the input. You should know that computer is an electronic device like any other machine which takes as input, that is raw data, and performs some processing, that is done by the CPU as I told you. Then giving out the processed data, that is done by the output device. Therefore, input unit takes data from us to the computer in an organized manner for processing. Organized manner means a systematic manner. Means first of all input is given, then processing takes place. So all this is done in the input. Then there is a term storage, that is used for storing purpose basically. As the first line said, the process of saving data and instructions is known as storage. Means where we can save the data and instruction. That is a storage basically. And storage is also known as memory. Data has to be fed into the system before the actual processing starts. Means before CPU starts doing the operations, first of all, data must to be fed into the system. It is because the processing speed of CPU is so fast that the data has to be provided to the CPU with the same speed. Therefore, data is first stored in the storage unit, that is your memory part, for faster access and processing. Faster access means CPU can easily process in a faster way so that time is saved. As I told you, time saving is one of the main feature. So faster access means how to easily fetch from the memory, means how CPU fetches from the memory in an effective way, in an time saving way, in an early manner. So this is the faster access. And processing, this storage unit or the primary storage of the computer system is designed to do the above functionality. Means all this functionality is done by the primary storage, that is also known as RAM, that is random access memory, that I will talk to you within later slides. At last, it means storage. Storage provides space for storing data and instructions, means memory unit used for storing the data and instructions. At the end, there is some two main points. The storage unit performs the following major operations. All the data and instructions are stored here before and after processing. Before processing means that is a raw data, and after processing means that is a finished product, means after the processing. And also the intermediate results of processing are also stored here. Intermediate results means, let's say example, board mass. There is a board mass formula, means first of all bracket is open, then division, then multiplication. So there is some intermediate result that is also stored in the memory unit. Now let's see processing. We will see then processing. The task of performing operations like arithmetic and logical operations is known as processing. Means all the arithmetic operations like plus, minus, divide, multiply, basic operations, and the logical operations, that is less than, greater than, less than equals to, greater than equals to is known as processing. The CPU takes data and instruction from the storage unit. As I told you, storage unit is basically used for storing purpose and makes all sorts of calculations based on the instructions given and the type of data provided. It is then sent back to the storage unit. Means CPU performs all the calculations that takes input from the storage unit and then doing the calculation, and then after doing calculation there is a finished product, there is an output that is sent back to the memory unit. Means in the last line it is written, it is sent back to the storage unit. Means the output is sent back to the storage unit. Right. Then there is a term output. Output is basically, this is the process of producing results from the data for getting useful information. Useful information means finished product. Means output is basically a finished product that comes after processing. Similarly, the output produced by the computer after processing must also be kept somewhere inside the computer before being given to you in human readable form. Means there is some term, there is some technology that stores the data in the computer language. As our human beings language are different and the computer language are different. Computer understands only zeros and ones, but we can understand zeros, ones, twos also. So computer stores data in computer readable form with the help of the output. Again, the output is stored inside the computer for further processing. Means there is some output, there is some output of a program that is used for further stage, that is also stored in the memory unit. Then there is another term, that is a controlling. Controlling is basically, like I told you, it is a nervous system that controls all operations. Now let's see the manner how instructions are executed and the above operations. Above operations means that is arithmetic operations, logical operations that is done by the ALU are performed. Controlling of all operations like input, processing and output are performed by the control unit. Means it is the supervisor of all the above things like input, processing, output. It is a nervous system that supervises whether input takes place efficiently, whether output takes place efficiently, whether processing takes place efficiently or not. This is like a supervisor of all these things like input, processing, output. Now let's see another slide. These are the functional units. Functional units, that is ALU, CU in detail. In order to carry out the operations mentioned in the previous section, the computer allocates the task between its various function units. Means computer has different parts, that is functional units, and computer can allocate these tasks to the various units, that is ALU, CU and CPU. The computer system is divided into three separate parts. That is ALU, CU and CPU. They are, first one is ALU. That is arithmetic and logical unit. After you enter data through the input device, it is stored in the primary storage unit. Primary storage means, as I told you, primary means RAM. The actual processing of the data and instructions are performed by the arithmetic logical unit. As I told you, the basic calculation is done by the ALU. The major operations includes addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, logic and comparison. Means till division this is a arithmetic operation, and after division there is a logic, there is a comparison, this is a logical operation. Then data is transferred to the ALU from the storage unit. Storage unit means memory that is used for storing purpose. When required means when there is a requirement for processing, ALU takes the data from the memory unit. After processing, the output is returned back to the storage unit for further processing or getting stored. If there is a need of further processing, if we are doing further calculation, then it is stored in the memory. Otherwise, for future purpose, for giving the output, it is also stored in the memory unit. Another functional unit is CU, that is your control unit. Now let's see, the next component of computer is control unit, which acts like the supervisor. Like I told you, it is a supervisor that seeing that things are done in a proper fashion, in a proper manner. The control unit determines the sequence in which computer programs and instructions are executed. Executed means performed, means performing calculations. Things like processing of programs stored in the main memory, interpretation of the instructions. Interpretation means doing the processing, refining the things. All these comes under the interpretation of the instruction, and issuing of the signals for other units of the computer to execute them. As I told you, CU is the main component. CU is the supervisor. So issues the signal to the other components like ALU, CPU, CU to execute their operations. It also acts as a switchboard operator when several users access the computer simultaneously. This is the main line of the CU. This is the important line basically. It also acts as a switchboard operator. Means it acts like an operator, that is a switchboard operator, that allows multiple computers can access anything simultaneously. Means at the same time multiple users can use the computer in an efficient manner. There is some term client server architecture. So that term comes under this switchboard operator. That is basically a vast term. Then thereby it coordinates the activities of the computer peripheral equipment. Peripheral equipment means it includes both input as well as the output devices. That I will tell you within later slides. Thereby, it coordinates the activities of computer peripheral equipment as they perform the input and the output. Therefore, it is the manager of all the operations mentioned in the previous section. Means in simple terms, it supervises the ALU, CU, CPU. Right. Then last one is CPU. The ALU and CU of the computer system are jointly known as the CPU. Means CPU includes ALU and the CU. You may call CPU as the brain of any computer system. As I told you, CPU is the brain. This is written over here. CPU acts as the brain of any computer system. It is just like brain that takes all major decisions, makes all sorts of calculations, and directs different parts of the computer functions by activating and controlling the operation. Now this is the important line. Let's see. It is just like brain that takes all major decisions. First of all, it takes all the decisions, make all sorts of calculations, means all the calculations like arithmetic calculation, logical calculation, and it also directs different parts that is done by the CU. Direct means supervises other parts, whether to use that part at the same time or whether to use this part at the later stage. All this is done by the CPU. Now let's see another slide. Then there is a term memory system. As I told you, memory is the main component of a computer. Right. In the same way, we will study memory in detail. That is your memory system in a computer. So these are the basic memories. Let's see one by one in detail memory, because memory is the main part. So computer memory is used to store two things, that is instructions to execute a program. Data means basically it is used to store two things, that is your instruction that is used to execute, means perform a program. Another one is data that is used for giving the raw input. Then let's see what are the types of memory. Types means what are the different categories of memory. First one is registers. This is basically a fast memory that is inbuilt into the computer. Inbuilt means that is available already when you purchase the computer. Now let's see what are the register, or what is register. The CPU processes data and instructions with high speed. There is also movement of data between various units of a computer. Means there is some movement, like first of all data go to the input device, then go to the memory, go to the another memory. So this is a movement of data between various units of the computer. So it is necessary to transfer the processed data with high speed when required. This is the main line. It is necessary to transfer the processed data with the high speed. Means with the help of a register we can transfer the data with very high speed. So the computer uses a number of special memory units that is known as registers. So this is the basic first element or the basic element of the memory. They are not part of the main memory. As I told you, this is inbuilt into the computer but not a part of the main memory. But they store data or information on a temporary basis and passes it on as directed by the controller. Temporary basis means it stores on a temporary basis, that is it stores for a time being. After some time it is deleted automatically from the memory and then pass it on as directed by the control unit. Means whenever there is requirement for the control unit to pass these instructions, to pass these data to another function unit. So all these are done by the registers. So this is the first memory which I finished right now. Another one is cache memory. This is also known as cache memory or the cache memory, anything. The speed of a CPU is extremely high compared to the access time of the main memory. Means the speed from which CPU performs the operations is more high than the access time of the main memory. Means the time taken to access from the memory is extremely low as compared to the speed of the CPU. In simple terms, CPU performs at a very fast speed as comparison to the main memory. So there is some need of the thing that is also a fast that cope up with the CPU speed. Means operation is performed in the CPU at a fast speed. In the same way, at a fast speed, data is also fetched from the memory in the same speed, in a very fast speed basically. Therefore, the performance of CPU decreases as there is no high speed. So there is a decreased performance of the CPU due to the slow speed of the main memory. As I told you, all the data and instructions are stored in the memory. But if there is no data, how CPU performs the operations? Because CPU wants the data for doing the operations. But if there is no data, if there is a slow speed for taking the data from the memory, so CPU looks like idle, sits like idle, means there is no work for the CPU. So automatically performances of the CPU decreases. So to decrease the mismatch in the operating speed means to decrease the mismatch in the CPU and the main memory, a new device, a new chip, a new memory is attached between the CPU and the main memory, that is known as the cache memory. Now let's see. A small memory chip is attached between CPU and the main memory whose access time means the time taken to fetch from the memory, that is your access time, is very close to the processing speed of the CPU. Means there is some chip that is installed between CPU and the main memory whose speed is very high, that is cope up with the CPU. Right? It is known as the cache memory. Means cache memory is a memory that lies between the CPU and the main memory and that cope up with the CPU speed so that CPU can perform the calculations at a very fast speed. So cache memories are accessed much faster than conventional RAM. RAM is basically main memory that I discussed within 5 minutes. It is used to store programs or data currently being executed or on temporary basis frequently used by the CPU. Means cache memory is basically used for storing the programs or data in a efficient manner but on a temporary basis. Means data is stored for the time being, after some time data is lost. So each memory makes main memory to be faster and larger than it really is. The main limitation of cache memory is that it is expensive in nature. It is expensive. It is also very expensive to have bigger size of cache memory and its size is normally kept small. Means the cost of the chip is very high. So we can manage with the help of a small chip, that is your cache memory chip. So these are the two basic memories. Now let's see another one. But these are the two basic, registers and cache memory. There are two more memories. As I told you, RAM. RAM is basically a primary storage. Now third one is primary storage. Third one is primary storage. Another name is main memory, internal memory or the RAM. That is often referred to simply as memory. In simple terms, we can also say memory or RAM or main memory or internal memory, anything. So it is only one directly accessible to the CPU. The CPU continuously reads instructions stored there and executes them as required. Any data actively operated on is also stored there in uniform manner. Means in RAM, all the data is stored that is processed by the CPU. All the data is stored in a uniform manner, means efficient manner. Primary memory is accessible directly by the processing unit. Means RAM is the internal memory. Primary memory is the internal memory. As the name advises, main memory or internal memory. That is directly attached to the CPU. So there is no provision that CPU is attached to the primary memory, then there is another term, another memory came that is also attached to the processing unit, that is CPU. No, but primary memory is the internal memory that is automatically directly related to the processing unit. So RAM is example of the primary memory. RAM stands for random access memory. I can write over here. RAM is random access memory. Right. RAM is random access memory. The full form of RAM is random access memory. Then last memory is your secondary storage. Secondary storage, another name of memory is auxiliary memory. Look over here, this is auxiliary memory, means another name is auxiliary memory. Another name is backup memory. I'm just giving overview first of all, then see line by line. Secondary memory is used for backup purpose basically. Backup means in like pen drive. Pen drive is my secondary memory. We can save the data and put in the pen drive. We can access on a later stage. Means that is a backup, also used for backup process. If I know there is some problem in my system and my system hangs out very frequently, so I take all the data into the pen drive, that is your PD. So that is used for backup purpose. In case my system lost, my system fails, my system corrupts, I have a backup, I have a data. So that I can put these data into my new laptop. So this is basically a backup memory, used for backup memory. Like you see CV, that is compact disc, DVD in the market, that is digital video disc. All these are categories of the secondary memory. Secondary memory means that is used for backup. We can also access backup with the help of a CD, DVD. There is some term floppy disk, that is also a secondary memory, magnetic tape. All these I will discuss in few days basically, within 2 or 3 days. So the operating speed of primary memory or main memory should be as fast as possible to cope up with the CPU speed. These high-speed storage devices are very expensive, means the rate of the storage devices is very expensive, and hence the cost bit of storage is also very high. Again, the storage capacity of the main memory is also very limited. Means there is some limitation like 2 GB RAM, 4 GB RAM. As you heard, 4 GB RAM means there is a capacity of 4 GB only. But if there is a need of more than 4 GB, what can I do? So I use the secondary storage, right? So means there is some capacity, there is some limitations in the main memory that is further used by the secondary memory. Means if there is some limitation in the main memory, that data, that left data after 2 GB, after 4 GB, that is stored in the secondary memory. Now let's see this one. Often it is necessary to store hundreds of millions of bytes of data for the CPU to process. As I told you, there is some time, there is some scenario where I can store hundreds of millions of bytes, means there is arrangement of hundreds of millions of bytes. But that is not stored by the RAM itself. So there is a need of another memory, and that need is provided by the secondary storage. Therefore, additional memory is required in all the computer systems. This is the main line. Why additional memory is required? Because CPU performs all the calculations, and there is some limitation in the RAM, so there is a need for additional memory. This memory is known as auxiliary memory or the secondary storage. In this type of memory, the cost per bit of storage is low. However, the operating system speed is slower than that of the primary memory. As I told you, this is used for backup. So there is some limitation in the speed, means there is some limitation in the RAM speed and the secondary storage speed. But it is used for backup as there is some limitation for the RAM. So there is no option. We can use secondary memory. Huge volume of data are stored here on permanent basis. As in the previous slide, there is a register that is used for temporary. Cache memory that is used for temporary. But secondary memory is on a permanent basis. This is the main point, that it is used on for a permanent basis. This one. And transfer to the primary storage as and when required. So So as and when required, we can use the primary memory and the secondary memory. So I now highlight main points that I told you. Means primary memory main point, that is your main memory, also known as main memory, internal memory, and simply also known as memory, right? RAM is full form is random access memory. So these are the basic concepts which I recall you at the end of the session. Right? Now let's see one by one. So now I wind up with the memory system that is of 4 parts: registers, cache memory, primary memory, secondary memory. Now let's see another topic that is very interesting topic. This is input and output devices. As I told you, there are two terms: input devices, output devices. Input devices is used for inputting the data, means how we can enter the data, and output devices is basically used for displaying the output. How we can display the output. So let's see one by one. A computer is only useful when it is able to communicate with the external environment. External environment means environment like us. Us means end users. That is our external environment. So computer is very useful when it is able to communicate. Communicate means interact with the external environment. When you work with the computer, you feed your data and instructions to some devices. As I told you, feed means input the data and instructions to some devices to the computer. These devices are all known as input devices, that is used for inputting the data. Right. Similarly, computer after processing gives output through other devices, that is known as output devices. In simple terms, this is the first concept, that feeds the data, that is your input devices, and that gives output, that is your output device. Clear? I highlight all the basic points: communicate, external environment, feed, input devices, gives output, and output devices. For a particular application, one form of device is more desirable compared to another. Means one form of device, whether it may be input device, output device, is more effective as compared to the others. We will discuss various types of input-output devices. IO stands for input-output devices that are used for different types of application. Means the application where we use the input devices, where we study what are the input devices. They are also known as peripheral devices. As I told you earlier, peripheral devices means combination of input and output devices. So peripheral means a combination of input and output devices, because they surround the CPU and makes a communication between computer and the outer world. Clear? Now let's see input devices. So this is just the introduction of both input devices and the output devices. Now let's see one by one. First of all, input devices. Input devices are necessary to convert our information into a form which can be understood by the computer. So as I told you, human beings understand zeros, 1, 2, but computer understand only 0 or 1. That is your binary number, either 0 or 1. So it is necessary to convert our information. Our information means which human being understands, that is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, anything, into a form that can be understood by the computer, that is 0 or 1. So input device is basically used for converting human readable form to the computer readable form. Human readable form means which is understood by the human beings. Computer readable forms means that is understood by the computers. A good input device should provide timely, accurate and useful data to the main memory of the computer for processing. Following are the most basic useful input devices. This line said a good input device should provide timely, means on a timely basis, accurate means without any errors, useful means ineffective data to the main memory of the computer for processing purpose, that is done by the CPU. And then following are the most basic input devices. Means now let's see what are the categories of input devices. So now I recall, input devices are basically used to inputting the data, means how to enter the data into the computer system. Now let's see types of input devices. Now go to the next slide, let's see. First input device is your keyboard. As with the help of a figure you can see, this is the keyboard, right? So keyboard is the standard input device, means this is the basic necessary thing of a computer. Without keyboard you cannot type. So this is the standard input device that is attached to all the computers. The layout of keyboard is just like the traditional typewriter. There is some term typewriter, that is a traditional term. And the keyboard name which we use is QWERTY keyboard. There is a name of the keyboard. There is no full form of these characters basically, but there is a name of the keyboard that is known as QWERTY keyboard. It contains basically 101 to 104 keys, depend upon the keyboard. There is a multimedia keyboard. There is also a category of keyboards like multimedia keyboard, foldable keyboard, scientific keyboard. So depend on the keyboard, there are keys, but the basic standard keyboard which we use contains 101 keys. It also contains some extra command key and function key. Basically command keys includes alt, tab, special keys, also known as basically special keys, function keys F1 to F12, which is at the top of the keyboard panel basically. That is started from the F1 and ends at the F2. It starts at the F1 and F12 basically. Right. And you have to press correct combination of keys to input data. Like if I want to give the characters in a capital letters, then I have to give the shift plus the character, that it gives the capital letter. So this line says you have to press correct combination of keys. The computer can recognize the electrical signal, means these two lines are processing of the input device, that is keyboard, means how keyboard process, what is the scenario, what is the term, what is the technology used in the keyboard. So the computer can recognize the electrical signals, means how computer takes the input with the help of a keyboard. It takes first of all electrical signals that is corresponding to the correct key combination. Let's example, if I'm press pass, I press A, that is type into the computer screen. So the main idea, main technology behind this is, first of all, electronic signal is sent to the computer, then A is pressed, and then A is printed on the computer screen, and then processing is done accordingly. So this is your keyboard, means how keyboard works. So the main points is, this is a standard input device, this is like a typewriter, the standard keyboard is QWERTY keyboard. It contains 101 to 104 keys, it contains function keys, command keys, and then there is a working of the keyboard, that is electrical signals passes and then character is shown on the screen. Now let's see another one. Another one means another input device, that is your mouse. Mouse is also known as input device, that is used with your personal computer. It rolls on a small ball, means there is some ball that is inside the mouse that rotate the mouse left, right, anywhere, means we can rotate the mouse in any direction, and has 2 or 3 buttons on the top. Basically there are 3 buttons left, and there is a scroll button, there is a right button, there is a menu generated with the help of a right button. So these we will discuss in the later period, basically in the 2-3 days. When you roll the mouse across a flat surface, the screen mouse movement, like I am rotating my mouse rotated in this way. In the same way, when I roll the mouse across a flat surface, the screen sensors the mouse in the direction of the mouse movement. Means where I direct the mouse movement, in the same way sensors are going from one direction to the another. The cursor moves very fast with mouse, giving you more freedom to work in any direction. Means if I am using mouse, I can use this. This is like a hodgepodge, but I can use the mouse in any direction. This line said gives you a more freedom to work in any direction. It is easier and faster to move through a mouse. Means it is very efficient manner. It is very better manner to use a mouse. But there are different categories of mouse also, and that I will tell you within 2-3 days. Now let's see another input device. Another input device is your scanner. This is your main important device, that is basically used for converting hard copy into the soft copy. Let's example, if I want to scan my documents, like 10 document, 12 document, means I want not in hard copy, I want in a soft copy. So that is done by the scanner. In simple terms, scanner converts hard copy into the soft copy, means a paper page into the computerized form in 0-1 form. Now let's see what is a scanner. The keyboard can input only text through keys, means computer can input only text provided in it. If we want to input a picture, like if I want to input a picture or drawing or map, the keyboard cannot do that because keyboard cannot contain picture options, drawing options, right? In the same way, this is done, means inputting a picture is done by the scanner. Scanner is an optical device that can input any graphical matter and display it back. Means we can simply put the paper on the scanner and that scans and that converts basically into the soft copy, into the 01 form. The common optical scanner devices are MICR and optical mark reader. These are two categories of a scanner. Basically there are different categories also, but these are the basic categories. Different categories includes flatbed scanner, drum scanner, and so on. There are different scanners, but these are the main categories. So I highlight all the basic points, all the important points. Scanner, that is inputting a picture, input any graphical matter and display it back. Now let's see MICR. MICR stands for Magnetic Ink Character Recognition. Let's see, I will give you just overview, then see line by line. MICR is basically used in the bank purpose, in the banks basically. There is some 6-digit number in the check which you have maybe seen at some time. There is some 6-digit number that is done by the MICR device, right? So MICR is basically used in the banks for writing the checks, for writing the check number. Now let's see. This is widely used by the bank. As I told you, these are used by the banks to process large volume of checks and DD, that is your demand draft. Checks are put inside the MICR. Means MICR is a device and checks are put inside the MICR. As they enter the reading in unit, the check passes through the magnetic field which causes the read head to recognize the characters of the head. Means how we can recognize what are the characters of the check, what are the digits of the check, what is the number of the check. All this is done by the MICR. So in simple terms, MICR is a type of scanner which converts hard copy into the soft copy, and that is used by the banks to process the checks in an efficient manner. Another type of scanner is OMR, that is your optical mark reader. Now let's see. This technique is used when students have appeared in objective type test. Like there is some OMR sheet, as every student tell that there is an OMR sheet, there is some radio buttons, there is some margin, there is some characters which you have to shade the characters. So that is your OMR. Means OMR is a device that can scan that input only OMR devices. This technique is used when students have appeared in objective type test and they had to mark their answer by darkening a circle. Means a student can darken the circle or square shape by pencil. Now this is the main line. These answer sheets are directly fed to a computer for grading when OMR is used. Means these answer sheets are checked by the device, that is your OMR. This is your device that is used for the student for checking the answer sheets of the student. Clear? So in this topic, we have studied scanner, whether the types of scanner, that is MIC. Now let's see another slide. Then input devices is over. Now let's see output devices. And I think this is your last topic and there are some questions after this. Output devices, as I told you, these devices are used for displaying the output. As input devices is used for entering the data, in the same way output devices are used for displaying the output on the computer screen. The first one is VDU, that is your monitor screen. As everyone tell that monitor screen, CRT monitor, TFT monitor, LCD monitor. So this is also known as VDU. Short form of VDU, that is your visual display unit. The most popular input-output device is the VDU, that is your visual display unit. It is also known as a monitor. As I told you, this is also known as monitor. A keyboard is used to input data, and monitor is used to display the input data and to receive messages from the computer. This line gives basically comparison of the input device and output device. Basically, this line says monitor is used to display the input data and receive messages from the computer. A monitor as its own, and is connected to the computer by cable. In some system, it is compact with the system unit. It can be color or monochrome. It depends on the monitor to monitor. There are different types of monitor like LCD. LCD full form is liquid crystal display. Then there is a term LED. This is LCD and then LED. Right. So there are different categories which I will tell you within 2-3 days. I'm telling you within 2-3 days means when we discuss in a detail what are the categories of input devices, that is keyboard, categories of keyboard and all these things, right? And then another one is printer. So first device is video, that is your monitor. Another one is printer. In like I told you, scanner that converts hard copy into the soft copy. In the same way, printer is an output device that converts soft copy into the hard copy. Means I have a data in the computer, I have to take in the output form, means hard copy form, that is done by the printer. So printer is an output device, in simple terms, that converts soft copy into the hard copy. It is an important output device. Now I can read by line. It is an important output device which can be used to get a printed copy of the processed text or result on paper. It is an important output device which gives you a printed copy. There are different types of printers that are designed for different types of applications. Now let's see one by one. Depending on the speed and approach of printing, printers are classified into two categories: impact and non-impact printer. As the name advises, impact printer means that gives some impact on the paper, and non-impact does not give any impact. Means there is no ink in the printer, but in impact printer there is some ink that spread over the paper. But in non-impact there is some laser light that passes through the in the printer machine and then takes the print out. Impact printers uses the familiar typewriter approach of hammering a typeface against the paper and ink ribbon. As I told you, impact printers gives the impact like a familiar typewriter of hammering a interface. Means there is some hammer which strikes on the paper which causes the character to print. But there is some ink also that spreads over the paper. That's why it is known as impact print. Hammer means with the help of which a character is pressed and pushed on the paper. Dot matrix printer are one of this type. Means this is a category of impact printer. There are different categories of impact, non-impact. But in this slide there is only one category because today is only just the introductory class, not the full-fledged class. Introductory means just overview of the basic concept. Concept means just basic designing of the computer. Then non-impact printers do not hit or impact a ribbon to print. They uses electrostatic, chemical and inkjet technology. Means there is no hammer, there is no ink. These uses electrostatic, chemical material and inkjet technology. Laser printer and inkjet printer are of this type. Means dot matrix is of impact type and laser and inkjet is of non-impact type. These type of printers can produce color printing and elaborate graphics. So this is the printer. In simple terms, printers are used for converting the soft copy to the hard copy. Now let's see another slide. That's all. I will finish with all the topics. Now let's recall one by one. There is last topic which is left. There is some questions also. Wow, interesting. Last slide is conclusion. At the end of the chapter, in this chapter we discuss 5 basic operations. Let's see first of all, recall one by one again. Right. We started with the computer organization. That is your introduction part. First of all, just introductory of the computer. Then objectives, means what are the basic objectives of the computer, what are the basic organization of the computer. Then what is the meaning of ALU, CU, CPU, memory. Then another topic is basic computer operations. Basic computer operations includes 5 major components. First of all, it accepts the data or instructions by way of input. It stores data, it can process. CPU full form is central processing unit. ALU is arithmetic and logical unit. Then there are some basic concepts like input, storage. Input means we can input the data. Storage means we can store the data in the computer so that CPU can perform the operations. Then the storage unit performs the following major functions like data and instructions are stored, intermediate results. Another slide is processing, means processing is done by the CPU. Output, there is a controlling part. Then functional units, that is your ALU, CU, CPU. Then memory unit in a computer. Memory unit means where the data is stored, means what are the categories of memory, that is your registers, cache memory, primary memory, secondary memory. Input output devices, means what are the input devices, output devices that are used in the computer. Then there are different categories of input devices, that is keyboard, mouse, scanner, and scanner includes MICR, OMR. Output devices includes VDU and printer. Printer is of 2 categories, impact printer, non-impact printer. Impact printer includes dot matrix printer. Non-impact printer includes laser printer and inkjet printer. That's all. Then there is a conclusion. In this chapter we discuss 5 basic operations that the computer performs, that is input, storage, processing, output and control. Second one is computer accepts data. Computer accepts data as input, store it, process it, and as the user requires, and provides the output in a desired manner. Another one is storage unit, like which I told you, memory unit, that is memory storage and secondary storage. Memory storage means RAM and secondary means backup storage. Last point is devices, that is input devices and output devices. Yeah. Now let's see some question answers. This is the main part of the training. First question is define volatile memory and non-volatile memory. So the answer is volatile memory is a memory which loses the contents when the power has gone. Means when the light cuts off, the contents of the memory is lost. That is your volatile memory. But in non-volatile memory, the data will remain in the computer even when the power has gone. Means when the light cuts, but data cannot lose. That is your non-volatile memory. Then another question is, what is the difference between impact printer and non-impact printers? As I told you, impact printers which prints by using the hammers, which causes the impact on the paper. But non-impact printers which do not gives any impact on the paper. It uses the electromechanical chemical material mechanism, right? So clear all two questions. Now next question is, what are the basic operations? Sorry, what are the basic operations? Just a moment. What are the five basic operations performed by any computer system, which I told you in the first slide? First of all, getting the input, then storage, then output, controlling, then handles variety of instructions. Means the basic five operations. Let's see these five operations. Which five operations? Basic five operations. That is in this slide. It accepts data, it stores data, it can process data, it can give results in the form of output, it controls all the operations inside a computer. Clear? Next question is, draw a block diagram to illustrate the basic organization of computer system and explain the functions of various units. This includes this answer. This is the diagram and these are the basic explanation of these systems: input, storage, and then another slide, processing, output, controlling. This is the answer of this question, fourth question. In this it is mentioned, explain the functions of various units, means input, processing, CPU, ALU, CU. Then another question is, what is input device? Input device, as I told you in this phase, this is the input device that is used for inputting. There are different categories of input devices. This is keyboard, scanner, and so on. So what is input device? How it is different from output device? The answer is that input device is basically used for entering the data, while output device is used for displaying the output. And there are different categories of input devices as well as the output devices. Another question is, what is cache memory? As I told you, cache memory is an inbuilt memory that is very expensive in nature, that is used for storing purpose on a temporary basis. So this is the cache memory. Clear? Then how it is different from the primary memory? Cache memory is expensive, but primary memory is not expensive. Clear? Last question is, write true or false. First point is, there are two types of memory, that is primary or memory. So this is correct. As I told you, there are two types of memory, that is primary and secondary. So the answer is true. Another one is, computer takes input in the zeros and ones. As I told you, computer accepts only machine language, that is 0 and 1. So computer can take input. This is a true option. The storage of programs and data in the RAM is permanent. As I told you, RAM contains data on a temporary basis. So answer is false, means not correct. PROM is secondary memory. No, this is a category of the ROM. So this is a primary memory. So answer is false. Secondary memory is also known as auxiliary memory. Answer is correct. As I told you, another name of secondary memory is auxiliary memory. A CD-ROM is read-only memory. As the name advises, CD-ROM. CD means compact disk. ROM means read-only memory. So read-only memory is a CD-ROM memory. So answer is true. Mouse is an output device. As I told you, mouse is an input device. So answer is not correct. That is a false. So this is your basic idea of the computer. That's all. Now, any questions? Anyone? Now, any questions, anyone? Any doubts? Any queries? मीट कर
क्वेश्चन कर रहे हैं, क्वेश्चन है उसमें दिया है।
अभी यही तो डिस्कस कर रहा था।
क्या क्वेश्चन?
डिफरेंट मतलब सब इसी के अंदर आता है। डेडलाइन पूछा था जिन्होंने, तो कह देता हूँ टिल वेडनेसडे। बाकी ठीक था। अच्छा, मुझे लगा आपने अटेंड किया। क्या फीडबैक क्या था? फीडबैक क्या था?
ये टाइम 6:30 हो गया। आज के पूरा टॉपिक हो गया। हमने से एक में फीडबैक देने के लिए ना बोले कि आज की स्लाइड कवर करनी है, तो कल फिर क्या है?
अच्छा,
या तो मैं 2 घंटे से ज़्यादा सुन लेती हूँ।
5 o'clock स्टार्ट हुआ था।
5:15 में हो गया फिर। जैसे जब आप क्वेश्चन टाइप कर रहे हैं ना, आपने आंसर कर सकते हो बोल के।
अच्छा, पर अभी कुछ मैंने पूछा, एनी क्वेश्चन, कोई रिप्लाई बैक नहीं आया। तो उनका आया ही मेल्टा का बार बार मैसेज आ रहा है कि उनका नेटवर्क वीक हो गया। आई हैव गॉट ऑलमोस्ट एवरीथिंग, जस्ट अ रिकैप इन द क्वेश्चंस। मतलब ये रह गया, माय नेटवर्क इज गोइंग वीक वगैरह वगैरह।
ठीक है, तो इसको हम सेशन को क्लोज कर सकते हैं कि क्या क्या करें?
और कोई क्वेश्चन देखता हूँ 5 मिनट अगर कोई आता है वगैरह।
ठीक है। और इनको डियर स्टूडेंट के नाम पे एड्रेस करो आप। जैसे होगा कि ठीक है, और कितने स्टूडेंट है, क्या हम स्पेसिफिकली या नाम लेंगे तो सभी का नाम मेंशन करना पड़ेगा।
आ गया, ओके, ठीक है।
ठीक है।
एक यही है तो